Hey, morning guys. We're gonna talk about light work here. Energy work, energy movement. Consider this like your Tai Chi or Qigong. How to define this for you? What is energy? You know, people talk about Qi. There's all these like schools of developing like sense of Qi, sense of energy, sense of like command of life force flow, or sensitivity to life force flow, or play, dance with life force flow. Depends if you're in your feminine flavor. Play, dance, enjoy, feel, surrender, or your masculine command. Time for a fight. And my background for this is somewhat involved in physical earth here. Did a bunch of Zen training. Focus there is on your hara, or your center, and your breath. And that was beautiful. Martial arts, I was taught some good boxing and some kung fu, and then learned from experimenting with others, and then even in my own dream time and stuff like that. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm just telling you where this info is coming from. Body working, received a bunch of body work and learned a form of body work, and there you kind of have your own window into energy from like a therapeutic or a healing sense, which is kind of a fun one. Yeah, shamanism, nature connection. I did a ton of playing with stuff. Like I watched YouTube videos, and I have some friends who do this stuff. I'll show you in a second. But then I started like just kind of like improvising. I think a million people do this. It's not unique. But then like kind of making games of it and just playing with it. Full moons, you know, like out in nature. Like I just love this stuff. Like for me, it's like a way to connect with nature and my soul and my star tribe. And I'll talk about that too in a second. Yes. Now, also, again, our soul play the game many times. Our soul plays the game many times. So for me, like I've had whole lifetimes doing like Qigong, Tai Chi, even stuff off planet that was pretty cool. I'm just saying, I've been in some wars and stuff, and often a healer, a body worker. I mean, I worked in a pyramid in Egypt. Whatever. Just saying, like, if you're a martial artist, I've had like visions of myself as a martial artist, or like in that kind of like monk martial art, like warrior, spiritual, indigenous flavor. I've done that, so my soul likes that stuff. To me, it's fun. But like as part of that, not only do you have to like move energy or like be energetic as you fight, but you also heal. Like there's always healing, bodywork, massage. Okay, credentials. That's really probably boring for you. You just want to know how to do it, right? So let's do that. Okay. The thing that I would take from what I just said is you too have a soul, right? And you too have been in environments where you did know how to move energy, and that was part of the culture, and you were sensitive, and you do know how to do this stuff. You do have a feeling for it. So trust what comes to your intuition, because it may be very ancient and correct. Okay. Step one. Step one is stretch. Wiggle, stretch. This is called horse's stance. This is Kung Fu. Try and be soft in your upper body. It's a lot like meditation. You're breathing here and you're resting like sprucey spine, but soft on your base, and your base is strong. Hiya, wa, zwa, hua. Now you can play with like on your in-breath, imagining you're pulling energy up from the ground. It's a sensitive part of your hand. Bone marrow shoots out. But I kind of feel like it just like everywhere. But you can start with trying to feel it in your hands. Yada, 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 yada. I like to use kind of a masculine vibe as far as like I'm not softly pulling energy. I'm like always like as strong as I can, like a vacuum cleaner. Like that's not always. There's times to play and be sensitive, but why do we warm up with Kung Fu or horse's stance? Well, it helps you feel grounded, connected to the ground. And then when you stand, after you do that, I mean, they would have you do this for like years in a Kung Fu system. But then when you do your own movement, like you can stand wide, but often you're standing more narrow, but it's that same exact feeling of like you're strong in your base, but soft up top. Now, if you had a buddy, you could play a game like sumo where you practice being in your base and keeping your base under you, almost like an athlete. It's pretty simple shit. A lot of light work or energy work is a lot like lifting weights, like it's the same sort of like power. Now, in your body, when you move, you do generate a charge. Your fascia, or the thing that connects everything, holds all your muscles, is crystalline in nature and does generate a charge. Piezoelectric effect, baby. So move. That's why you want to do your yoga and move a little bit every day. That old school expression, get the blood flowing. Well, get the energy zippy, 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 zippy. Get the life force pulsing, moving, moving. Now, when I talk about having like an energy practice or a light work practice, there's a few things that I value out of that, and I share this with you now. It's like basic, simple shit. That blood, that energy, that flow, right? Just basic body stuff. Moving your body. Then, in a more advanced sense, as we're doing all the work in these videos, we're getting more sensitive to energies. And there's a way in which you can charge off the subtle energies in your environment. There have been people called breatharians, believe it or not, who have lived on Earth without eating food for decades. And it has been scientifically documented. Now, I'm not a breatharian. I eat a bunch of plants. Yum. And it's fun, though, to think about your ability to just charge off subtle energy. When I meditate, I do that, and when I do these movement things, I do that. You learn to feel the subtle energy that you generate from within off breath and prana, or stuff you can pull to you. Now, your sources of prana, my suggestions, core of the earth, like that pulling exercise we did, that's a good one. Where do you pull the energy to? And I'll talk about the others in a second. But you know how they draw Buddha like fat? That's your chi reservoir. Now you can move it, but the first time I pull it up, I like crank it into there. And it's not like, I almost feel it like everywhere, but also like mostly right into my, and then it's like lock and load. Is it now into my arm? As you meditate, in the meditation video I described, you learn to move your sense of self into your hara, or your like stomach, and then you can kind of whipcord your sense of self like around your body. And if that sounds esoteric, to make it more kindergarten-y, it's just like where's your awareness or attention, and like you learn to like just like whipcord it around. And it could just be as simple as like your movement pattern, but it's kind of like you're combining your imagination, which is a lot more powerful than we typically think of imagination. We think of that as like play, but that is the engine, right? An important aspect of our reality. Creates an information vector that, okay, we do real things with our mind. So it's a combination of like your felt sense and your imagination. All right, getting back to sources of light. So you're pulling like energy to you, and you're feeling it like in you. And two things are happening at once. Your field is expansive, you feel it everywhere, and you kind of feel it like as like a ball, or like a concentration of awareness and energy and power and joy. Okay, next. So, the sun, the moon, if one of them are out, you can breathe it in like through your eyes and your pores, like in your breath. And you can also, like, in your mind's eye, like pull down vectors of light, sheaths of light, balls of light. Now, another source, if you have a cosmic spirituality or a sense of, like, if you're into astrology or if you're aware of your soul history and you know your astral lineage or like some of the galactic societies you've been a part of, especially if you got like Arcturian crew or Andromedan crew or Syrian crew, there are some of our family members helping out. If you don't know what that means, use the sun and the stars, or imagine God, if that's in your belief system, like, or the angels or heaven. God, my heart thumped. All right, I don't mean, okay, so I think I was making fun of the Christians there. I'm Christian too. To me, the story is galactic. Like, Sananda, the Christ oversoul, is the territory captain here on Earth, but so was Buddha a messenger, so was Krishna a messenger, so do the indigenous sometimes figure it out. It's like, yeah, Christ is in charge and Christ is the template, but we're all sons of God and we're all connected via the Holy Spirit. So I didn't mean to make fun of God and heaven. It's just, it's more complex than that. You don't just go to heaven forever and always. Like, what would you do in eternity? You'd go adventure again. You'd rest and adventure, rest and adventure. So I'm just saying the game is more galactic spirituality than maybe the version that was delivered to people 2,000 years ago. You know, Christ was speaking to the donkeys, man. Welcome to a bigger version here for the 21st century. You know, there's 100 planets like Earth for every grain of sand like Earth. All right, so I bring this up in the context of light work because for me, if I'm doing light work, I am interacting with those versions of myself. And I even sometimes interact with my higher selves. Like, sometimes if I'm in nature or dialed in, I'll be interacting with my higher selves. And like, they'll be part of what I'm doing in my mind's eye. Right? I've got one dude who's giant, and like, I'll sometimes shoot him through in my mind's eye, right? And I sense this energetically. And he goes in the earth, and then he spins. He gets his wings out. If I'm really in a good mood, I do stuff for the planet. I'm just like, yay, uplift planet Earth, and I try to hold the field in warm yellow light, and it's like, for me, that's fun, to try and help, like, the whole planet. And I use a big guy for that one, you know? Okay. Yeah. Hiya. Now, this may be the strangest video I have ever made. I keep it going because light work is a strange. All right, so things I like to do. My guides are saying short and simple. I'll just get to the point here. To me, I'm doing how to explain light work, guys. Okay, it's a combination of your own body, like you're like stretching, right? What feels good? It's between pleasure and discomfort. Like, you're almost like stretching and you're enjoying, and you're flexing and you're enjoying, and you're stretching, you're moving, boom, boom. Then, I mean, depending on where I am, like, I'm doing stuff for the territory, like pulling light in and like shimmering it like a vector, like, and I'm doing that for like out of a love for everyone in my community, and I'm setting an intention for like, yo, can this be a high vibe place? Can people walk into this place and have a good thought? Can people walk into this place and feel in their heart space? Can people walk in this space and feel divine? Right? I have colors of light for that. Like blue is for me like divine. Yellow is like joy, right? You know, it's your intention really that matters. So if you've ever been in like a battlefield, like you can feel sometimes like the angst of a battlefield, meaning like there is like a web on earth, or like you can think of it as like a light filament, like a memory imprint, right? And so like what we're doing when we do light work is we're trying to improve like the memory grid of our area, okay? The crystalline structure, the fifth dimensional vibrational field. You know, I mean, we don't have this scientifically yet, guys. So, poo poo pashu, tooey tooey wooey wooey, booey booey boo boo. You know, in my experience, you're doing something real, and especially in body work, when I'm working with people, like there are times where I feel the energy come off, and I'm like, oh, good, something just released, and I feel it as like a heat. Sometimes I see energy. But you always have that sense when you walk into a space, like how does this space make me feel? And I'm saying like you can affect that quality of the space through your work. So if you do this for your city, your neighborhood, when I land in a new territory, I do it, right? At the Marine base in North Carolina, it took me 6 days before I felt like I could breathe energetically because it was thick there, right? So I'm on the beach like cranking. And it took me a while to get like in my heart and like have affected enough people through a conversation and like done enough light work where I was like, oh yeah, good, the vibe's better here, right? So is it all in my mind? I would say no. I've had enough experiences where, like, to me, this is an objective reality. Now, again, we know therapists can emit real electromagnetic fields through their hands, right? I've experienced things like this working with people. I can sometimes really feel like I'm moving energy currents. I would honestly say I've sometimes shifted weather patterns. Why not, right? Why not? We know our awareness affects reality, and we know our awareness is bigger than any single time-space point, right? So if you're super dialed in, and if you have a strong intention to uplift the betterment of the whole place, like, why wouldn't nature move for you, right? Yeah, okay. It's probably way over the top, but this is fun. Now, things I like to do just in my mind's eye, I'll wrap this after this, is like, are you pulling down vectors of light? Are you shooting light? Are you moving curtains of light? Like, are you resonating up the whole field below you, a basket of light? Sometimes I used to umbrella the light down in every direction and spin it, and like I was imagining it from my Arcturian crew. They're a very benevolent crew, and I was like, yo, bring down some of that like galactic sauce for this crew, like that art space, that integration, that like wisdom, right? Like, there are really evolved beings who you can associate with, but you can also just use the sun. I usually use the sun. Now, the only other thing to say is, like, this is kind of like developing your own yoga, or your own Tai Chi. Like, you're following your own rhythms of how you want to move. Someday, maybe it's really graceful, and you're like a fairy. Some days you're really cranking, and you're like... The cool thing is you're learning your own life force flow and giving voice to that, right? Expression to that, tapping into that, expressing that. Now, that's useful as a practice to get to know oneself and your energies and the balances and rhythms and the flows. At the end, you can do your intentions. Like, it's kind of like your prayer, but like you're at a high energy state. So it's like you're jacking them in with power. You're like, I want clarity, abundance, like discernment, productivity, healing, help with this, help with that, help with this, help with that. And then something for your crew, your team, like visions of like our future. Pump them into Gaia. Like, Gaia, I'm thinking of this. Like, let's go this way. We're coming, babe. We're trying to clean it up. Thank you. Like, you're banging that sort of vibe into like the collective subconscious, which is like a huge motor for how we go forward. So you're kind of like, you're setting in instructions for yourself and for our collective. One thing just came to mind. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, but like in like Qigong, it's like slow But the point I want to make is like you are like doing an effort inside to generate that heat or that constriction or that feeling. It's like if you had to create an energy ball, would you just go like this, or would you go like? Now again, there are styles to energy work, and some people have their own style. So you're allowed to be soft and gentle if that's you. When I move energy, I like to kind of like crank, like shaman warrior. That's my fun version. Every once in a while feminine, but often it's like it's like you're doing stuff. Like if you're pulling energy up from the ground, it's like you're whipping it up and sending it out. You know, you're like cranking it down, and you're almost like doing like, what's that called? Sonic booms. You know what I mean? Like boom, and then you're like love and light. That's all I got. I love you guys. I'll move a little bit more just for fun. Over and out. Basically, just make shit up. Have fun. Move. It's so good for you. It's so good for you. This is sort of stuff that you're like, oh yeah. What's up? This is how you get your vibe highs. Like, you're pulling energy to you. You're pulling energy to you. You're using your body like a battery. You know, you're like, hello world. Where's my task list? Let's do it. Over now. Yellow, yellow, yellow tie. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,